Hi everyone. This is really important, and so I need everybody to listen and watch this video all the way through. We have a bit of a dilemma. You all are going to be asked throughout the semester to use the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics as one of the lenses through which you think about the ethical dilemmas that are presented. And the problem is that, let me find this thing. Here we go. The problem is that SPJ just released a new version of their code on September 6th, which was 3 days ago. So the course is built around the previous version of the code, which you probably have if you took the one that's linked to in the course. This is the old version of the code, and it's been around for a long time. This is the new version of the code that was just released 3 days ago. And there are some subtle differences that probably aren't going to make that much of a difference, but there are some pretty important differences. Like, for example, look at the headings. Seek truth and report it. Seek truth and report it. Minimize harm. Minimize harm. Act independently. Act independently. Be accountable and transparent. What? So it's a little bit different. Be accountable and transparent has changed a little bit. So what I've noticed as I've been grading this week is that I believe some of you are working from the old code and some of you are working from the new code, and I want to give you permission to use whichever one you want to use. I am totally fine with that. I'm going to have to go back through the course before I teach it next semester and make all the changes so that we're only using the new code. But for this semester, since they just approved it 3 days ago, we're going to go ahead and give you the ability to use the both. If you want to know what the difference is between the two, I did find a page where they explain the primary differences, and you know, a lot of it is not really a big deal. They call out in particular that they have transparency now built into the new code, which it wasn't in the old one, and it primarily lives within the realm of conflicts of interest and under the Be Accountable code section. So feel free to use either one. It's up to you. I am fine with you using either one. I also wanted to take a moment and say that when we use the code, do not use the headings, seek truth and report, minimize harm, act independently, be accountable, as your as the words that you use to analyze case studies with. You should always use the bullet points. Find the bullet points that are most applicable to the case study that we are covering and use those as your lens to apply. I don't ever want to see you all saying something along the lines of journalists should minimize harm because blah 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 blah. That really tells me nothing. What you should say is something along the lines of journalists should be sensitive when seeking or using interviews or photographs of those affected by tragedy or grief because blah 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 blah. Because that is very specific to a particular situation. And later on in the semester, when we're talking about tragedy and grief and talking with victims or people affected by tragedy or grief, this one for sure speaks directly to what journalists should or shouldn't do in that particular circumstance. Minimize harm is just way too fuzzy. So same thing is true under the new code. Use the bullet points. I often refer to them either as bullet points or provisions. Either one, we're talking about these, not this. There's lots of bullet points in here for you to choose from. And while I'm on this subject, even though this doesn't apply just yet, I want to throw it out there that the SPJ is only one code of ethics within journalism. There are actually lots of codes of ethics with the different national and international associations that are related to journalism. So I would like for you to practice looking at those other codes and applying them in different case studies as well. So if we're talking about a broadcast news story, for example, you might want to look at the RTDNA code of ethics. That's the radio, TV, news broadcast code of ethics. And that code of ethics is much more particular to what TV news people need to think about. So just an FYI on that. There's also codes of ethics out there particular to photojournalists, for example, particular to investigative reporting, for example. So there's lots of them out there. So in a nutshell, you can use the old code of ethics or you can use the new code of ethics, whichever you prefer. Always, always, always use the bullet points, not the headings, when you're talking about a case study, analyzing a case study. And look past the SPJ Code of Ethics at other codes that are out there for other national or international organizations, journalism organizations. So that's it. Thanks.